The world, you know, has one measure of what a gossip is. What a gossip is. Gosh knows we know what gossip can do, how it can wreck careers, and we know the viciousness and the ugliness of gossip in the world. And what the dictionary says, gossip is idle chatter. It's small talk behind people's back and so forth. Well, this is the measure of gossip. But there's a gossip, the truth viewed from the standpoint of awareness as single and only and all is a gossip. There's another definition of gossip, and that is the talk of truth, the talk of love, the talk of the absolute without the practice of it. This is the real gossip. To gossip about the truth, to talk about the truth, to profess the truth without living it, without being it, consciously. Of course, we are living it and being it, whether we know it or not. Truly we are. But we'll never be consciously aware of it until we quit playing the role of the liar, the gossip. Moses spoke of the first gossip as a snake, you know. Snakes have never recovered, really. There was a beautiful little one right back here. You people who are symbologists, there must be some significance in the fact that I've been talking with a snake over my right shoulder. With a beautiful yellow collar around it, snake. But he spoke of... Jesus referred to a gossip as a vulture. It's ravening wolves, whited sepulchres. I've never been able to get that word out right, but you've read it many times. Well, if you will remember, Eden was Eden, as the story goes, as it's written very beautifully. Eden was a beautiful and happy and monumental place, perfect until the gossip arrived. Well, now perceive that gossip really is. Instead of this idle chatter, see that what gossip really is. It's the difference between one's profession of truth and one's practice of it. It's a matter of simple honesty. Simple honesty. You know, all the lights of the world, whether Eastern, Western, Northern, Southern, whether this generation or past generation, the light is the light. It's the same light. It's the same truth. All ultimately, well, it's like this. It's really the same beautiful sunrise, and it would appear that many artists have painted the picture. But they've all seen the same sunrise. They are depicting the same sunrise, and of course, the depiction, it comes forth as the philosophy that one studies, as the spiritual exercise that one practices, and so forth, but it's the same light. It's the same truth. Whether it is articulated by a cherub underneath the bow tree, or whether it is expressed by a little lady in a Boston rocker, or whether it is said by you as you declare and put down the beauty and the light, and it comes forth, and this is now the practice of it. This is to be it's your own words now. Because after all, do you not in your heart, I mean, when you get up, you do what is your own idea of doing. So we will end the gossip from this point on. We will quit professing and talking about the truth and start practicing. And when you stand up in front of the first bull that charges, and face it honestly and say, well, my gosh, how can life do life in? What can really come between? Where is there really any self-destruction within perfection? Where is there a lie within the holy principle of business? And stand then and face up to what appears to be the lie, and then just when you do this just one time, in honesty, stand there in honesty. And it takes girding the loins to do it. It takes gritting the teeth to do it. But just one time and see that it really is an illusion. Just one time, let somebody come charging through the door and you think, gosh, here comes a bill collector and he's getting ready to foreclose a mortgage, and you say, well, it's myself greeting myself, and I love myself. It is, and the self is not self-destructive. The self is holy, pure, and perfect. God is being this self I am. And then watch that one walk up and hand you a check, or hand you a gift, or embrace you, or whatever, instead of what appeared to be. Just one time is all you have to do it, and then you'll start putting your professions into practice, because you would say, my gosh, I'd be a nut not to. All right, it's that simple. Now, we know that eternal mind, God, isn't it? Yeah. We know that eternal mind doesn't age. It doesn't age. It's eternal. There was no beginning there, no end. It appears, one viewed through the eyes of finiteness, that we must appear to, at sooner or later, come up, hopefully, and find a time at which the cosmos came into being, or the universe came into being. But we don't know whether it exploded into being, or contracted into being, or whether it's expanding. It appears to be expanding at the moment, but now there's indications that it has contracted and expanded, that it might just be pulsating, you know. In any event, there is no time. Eternal mind doesn't age, and we know that. And we know that even mind's activity, if we bring it down in a very practical, right here, right now, we know that the activity of mind, this awareness, doesn't age. Awareness itself doesn't age. And if you'll just stop, you'll see that, and look, you will see that even with what appear to be human years allows the grandfather and the grandmother to roll with punches, to simply roll with punches, to distinguish the importances from the unimportances. It doesn't detract from anything. You've seen parents in anguish over children because they have the measles or the mumps or something, that the grandparents knew, well, this too shall pass away. So you can see that time doesn't even, in a human sense, detract from awareness, but it adds to its ability to perceive. Well, furthermore, science has found out. Let me sit just for a minute. Science has found out that even the body doesn't age. This finite body really doesn't age. It renews itself. There is no aspect of what appears to be the physical body that is not renewed yearly or less, within every so many months, with the exception of the bones, and they tell me that the bones will last for hundreds and hundreds of years, but every organ of the body renews itself. Well, I ask, must this renewal of life's evidence include also the renewal of its shortcomings, or the human shortcomings? Life does not renew itself imperfectly. It renews itself perfectly. So there is no reason to think that just because the world says one is born with a withered limb and must perish with a withered limb, that this is so. There is no reason to believe that because a doctor told you 2 years ago that you had a weak heart, a weak pump, that it has renewed itself weakly. Life renews itself perfectly. But what is it that won't believe it, or won't admit it, or would hang on to it like some sort of that would superimpose itself with all kinds of trials and tribulations? It is the matter of human dishonesty, playing the ego game, being the selfhood apart from God that says, I'm growing older, I'm growing weaker, I'm becoming senile, age is about to drag me into the ground. Yet all the while, the body is renewing itself even physically. I tell you that right here, right now, this is not a metaphysical dissertation at all. This is simple fact, as perceived right now by doctors. So why do we have to believe? We don't have to believe anymore that the body is going to renew itself with a continued congestion, with a continued allergy, with a continued anything at all, except perfect. Well, we know that life is eternal, and the deterioration, the decay, and the death of the body is the hypnotic illusion of a belief of a selfhood apart from God. Now, we all know that just this knowledge has allowed us to see changes and appearances. That is what we call healings. Yet, even with all of this metaphysical business, it would appear that we still look out and we still witness the relentless march of time. As we look out there, we still spy names of old friends in the obituary column. And we're still faced with what is the appearance of birth and death to infinity. Well, now, why? Why should it be? Have we not been told that the last enemy will be destroyed? Why do we have to keep putting this off? When is this will be? Must it forever remain in the future? Could it be that when we end this matter of dishonesty, this matter of gossip, this matter of not practicing what we profess, that we might not just see right here and now the end of all our own aches and pains and agonies and see a perfectly renewed body present to do all that is ever demanded of it, needed? Could it be that our trials and tribulations are simply a matter of knowing one thing and doing another? Could it be the lingering habit of mouthing the honesty of the eternal, unencumbered life while we continue to act the dishonest selfhood apart from God? Could it be that we just talk about others as being the self I am, and yet when we come right face to face with them, we treat them as though they were separate and apart from us? Could that be one of the problems? Could it be that we talk about the all-power of love while we still act as if others out there could do us in or hurt us or add to us or give us something that we need or take our possessions away from us or present us with something that would cause us agony? Are we still doing that? Well, I tell you that age is nothing. Age really is nothing. It is nothing. Age is there. It just isn't. And this is true. Just like dishonesty is nothing. Dishonesty is nothing. If one tells a lie is a lie. It has no power. A lying action is just a lying action that knows nothing of the truth, and the truth knows nothing of it. It's true that there is no imperfection going on and never has in perfection. But if we are living any of this dishonesty, if we are playing the role of one who is professing one thing and doing something else, or if we identify as one who is dishonest or acting dishonestly or capable of it, then we are suffering the accumulations of those lies. It has come to me, and I have seen it visibly apparent and manifest and proved so many times over that simple honesty is a prerequisite. And I don't mean the honesty or dishonesty practiced by others out there. You see, if somebody else out there is dishonest, that's their funeral. Really, literally, that's their funeral. The honesty or dishonesty, the point where it is put to practice is here as I. Get the beam out of this eye. First, judge not, you see. Lest thou be judged by it. It is here. The husbands must quit worrying about whether wife does this or doesn't do this. And wives just better quit worrying about what husbands do or don't do. Let this one here as I first be the honesty. Diligently, here as I. It is the honesty that I live, and when I say I, this is awareness talking, and it means this awareness listening, which if you want to call it Liz or Lynn or whatever, John or Jack or George or whatever it is, but this I means this one. Identify as this I that awareness is. It is the honesty that I live, the honesty that I practice, the honesty that I adhere to, that I follow, that I enjoy, and do it no matter what the human consequences. And believe me, I can tell you that the human consequences sometimes would appear to be horrendous, because there is every pull of the earth, so to speak, to help and encourage one to maintain an ego of selfhood apart from God, an identity that is other than the one. The practice of honesty allows one to arrive at a gentle joy within oneself that is the absence of agony and the absence of ecstasy, but a great, complete bliss. The practice of honesty, against which all of the complaints and accusations and cries of the world they do nothing to. You've heard the statement, blessed are ye, and then men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. This my, in this case, being honesty. And incidentally, honesty and truth are the same thing, and truth and the term Christ are the same thing. The Christ is the truth. Those of you that have all kinds of ideas about just what is the Christ and why there are so many different messiahs and why there are so many definitions, it's so simple as to be astounding. The truth itself, that truth which comes to allow us to discover the real identity. The truth that when you've got a little arithmetic problem and you've added it wrong, and when it dawns on you what the mistake is, that's the Christ. Right there, that simple thing. The truth itself is the Christ. And I tell you, the truth never leaves us nor forsakes us. Behold, it is with us always. Well, this I that we are pursues the honest course as best I can, knowing that life renews itself, but just renews itself, and not the lie, not the distortion, not the withered or constrained or restricted body. Life lives itself here and now, and there is no wait for a me to be totally honest. There is no reason for the mesmeric accumulations of the liar's beliefs to find themselves renewed as gray hairs, or as growths, or as suspicions, or as guilt, or as any wayward condition that appears ultimately to immobilize a body and bring it to a grave. And let me tell you, we do not have to let go the lies of belief one by one. Religion says, well, let's get rid of this fault and this fault and this fault and this fault, and let's overcome this and overcome this and overcome this. Well, we have only to live honestly from this now on. We are not bound by past actions. Awareness has never been bound by the actions of an illusion, by the actions of a misidentity. We begin by living the fact that God is all and that there is no other power beside God. We begin by living the fact that this awareness right here is the life that God is, and it is not the personal possession of a personal ego. We begin by living the fact that this body is merely the means by which awareness discerns the tangible aspects of isness' self-knowledge, and as such is continually renewed, because it is in the fullness of life, at the behest of life, because life is, the body is renewed, and life is never itself capable of being brought to an end by the malfunction of a body. Awareness is not restricted by the malfunction of a body. We may let go of these accumulations of living a lie that appear to be dragging a body to the dead, to a grave. We can let go of the accumulations of living a lie by simply ending our dishonesty. And a dishonesty with whom? Why, with the one being this self I am, this one we are. But now listen, this means not just spiritual honesty, not just metaphysical honesty. This means honesty. This means the end of every personal dishonesty. With a government, or with friends, or with relatives. With every living creature, every living thing that moves upon the earth, we end our dishonesty. And with everything that creepeth under the earth, we end our dishonesty with that too. We are not separate. Life is not... Well, this means that right here, right now, that we are honest with employer, and with mother, and with father, and with neighbor. But it is our honesty that we're concerned with. It's our honesty. We cannot condemn. It is not honest to condemn a neighbor who is a reflection of ourselves for the appearance there of dishonesty. This is a dishonest act here. It is our own honesty that we're concerned with first. And this is why all of the concepts that have ever been presented say, this being, this light, this I, first. It is senseless and flagrant and ridiculous and absurd and idiotic hypocrisy to nail other folks to the wall, other images of perception out there to the wall for their failure to keep their word and not to practice what they preach. It says, I live honesty here as I, that I see the infinite appearing of myself becoming more concerned with honesty. As I live honesty here as I see the extension of this awareness appearing as kids in the world concerned with the honesty of what appear to be elders, church leaders, and governments, schools. Is there not a growing awareness of honesty in the world? As we live this honesty here as I, first we'll look out and see it lived out there. We can't go running out there and beat the drums out there. That doesn't mean that we don't go and do things out there. Oh, yes, indeed, we might do and be the monumental prime mover in one way or another in the out there, but we live it here as I first. As I live honesty here as I see this infinite appearing of myself becoming more concerned with what is there, in quotes, honesty. There is no there honesty. It's this honesty here is I. And as I say I, of course, I say again, this I is the awareness that's listening, this very one you are, the I that I. Now, so long as we live dishonestly in the least part of this tangible experience, then we are yielding ourselves servants to obey the rules and the regulations of dishonesty. That puts us immediately into the arena of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, of cause and effect, of equal and opposite, and all of the accumulation of guilt, and all the rest that goes with this human picture of birth and death. Now, it is simply not enough to say that God's deific selfhood is alone, one, only, total and all, and therefore incapable of dishonesty, and say, as I've heard so many metaphysicians say over the year, well, there really isn't any dishonesty going on, really. As we've all said it and done it at one time or another, while we go on being dishonest. Apparently. What good does it do to profess without the practice of it?